The issue at stake is big. It's not only economic, huge loss in tax revenues, but there's a widespread feeling among population that there's a tax injustice, and some may even fear, like Karl Marx did, that there is accumulation of wealth at one pole and accumulation of misery at the other.
We have to keep in mind that the major political problem is that the legitimization of democratic institutions can be or might be undermined if citizens have the feeling that a normal citizen is paying taxes, but that there might be others, like corporates or private persons, who are able to establish letterbox constructions which enable them to circumvent tax payments. And if that impression is prevalent, and that was the major message out of the Panama Papers revelations, then I think it is urgent that political decision makers are taking action.
What we're dealing with, what you're dealing with, is actually much more dangerous than just tax avoidance. The rule of law itself is at stake. Every so often, I'll pick up a newspaper article about the rich. There was a series in the New York Times last weekend, for example, about the very rich. And there'll be a throwaway line in there to the effect that rich people think they're above the law. That is not hyperbole. And more than that, it is a practical reality that you can essentially make yourself law-proof with the help of these intermediaries. Often the politics of the people who do this for a living as intermediaries and the politics of their clients would be best described as libertarian anarchism. I didn't invent that phrase. It's existed in political economy for some time. But basically the ideology comes down to this: law and order for everybody else, because we like to be able to walk down the street and not get robbed. But I, the rich person, I'm special and I'm above the law. And I should be permitted to escape the bounds of the law. You would be surprised, or maybe not, by how many people seriously believe that, both intermediaries and their clients.
We need to find the enablers. The fine should at least equal the tax lost. Could be millions. Make the partners in accountancy and law firms personally liable. These fines should not come out of any insurance, as at the moment some of them can do. They should not be tax deductible either, because at the moment they play the game that the fines are there, if there is any fine, because they had an incorrect interpretation of law rather than that they violated the law. They're simply playing a game. Make these people attend compulsory educational courses publicly so that they perhaps behave better next time. Shut down persistent offenders. So in 2005, KPMG were fined $456 million in the US. All that demonstrated is that if you are large enough and big enough, you can game the system.
Whenever there is an investigation in the tax havens, be it in the haven itself or in the administrative sphere, these investigations come to nothing. All of the investigations we've known about and all of these scandals that have come out into the public sphere have basically come out because of leaks and not because of the successful investigation, be it police investigation or any other kind of investigation.
What can be learned from this Israeli experience? There are, I think, two key lessons. One is that intermediaries are often happy enough to switch from facilitating avoidance to facilitating compliance, so long as their own interests in being gainfully employed are safeguarded. Now, while the creation of a heavy compliance burden may seem a great price to pay for securing the assistance of intermediaries in formulating solutions for the regulatory omissions they used to exploit, this price may not be long-lasting. The second key lesson to be learned from the Israeli experience is that public sector capacity is critical for the successful closing of legal and regulatory loopholes, as was, I think, emphasized also by some of my predecessors here. Private expertise can be used, as it was in Israel, to jumpstart public sector expertise. And once civil servants acquire the necessary know-how, there is no longer a need to provide private intermediaries with a quid pro quo. Thank you.